All right. We are here on the Mo Mindful Show on this Wealthy Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, whatever you want to call it. I'm so excited to be here and bring you another episode of some information that you can use, as we call it sometimes, infotainment. But this is not anything entertaining. This is just all information. And we always talk about legacy on this station. And legacy is not just leaving your children um, physical resources, but it's also leaving them a lot of information. So this is something that we want to take advantage of when somebody comes on our show and wants to present some very helpful information to our audience. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Derrick Whitehead to the Mo Mindful Show. And so on this episode, we're going to discuss the all important but rarely talked about topic of fire safety and prevention. So Mr. Whitehead is a man of God, a father. He's a career firefighter, member of my fraternity, the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and the CEO of the Office of Fire Prevention Incorporated, OFP. So, as you know, our show is dedicated to improving the lives of our audience by offering them unconventional ways of thinking about life challenges. And here we are in the beginning of the summer. So, Brother Whitehead's OFP is perfectly aligned with our mission by focusing on changing the nonchalant attitudes or behaviors people traditionally have about fire safety. So I know I jumped right into your professional life. So, Mr. Whitehead, would you mind filling in some of those blanks about your personal life?
It would definitely be my pleasure, Dr. Mo. Well, as you know, much of my personal life has been put on hold, not just mine, but many of ours, in regards to COVID 19. But since November 2021, which Illinois has lifted the COVID 19 ban, I'm slowly returning to some of my old interests, which
Mhm.
socially include stepping. Chicago, Illinois is well known for stepping. I'm not talking about what we do, bro.
Right. No,
Um,
I know. I know.
okay. What I'm talking about is if you're familiar with R. Kelly, he came up with a
Mhm.
song called Stepping in the Name of Love.
Mhm.
So if you ever seen that video, that's something that we love to do here in Chicago. So it's one of my favorite pastimes. So now that they've opened things back up, every now and again, making my business to
Okay.
get to a stepping spot. Also, I've started back attending the chapter meetings. For a minute, I was pretty busy because I take care of a disabled brother. So I wasn't able to do a lot of things. But now I've gotten back to going to the chapter meetings. I've also gotten back deeply in church since things have opened up. So which is
Awesome.
truly necessary. And that provides me a strong sense of peace, purpose, and strength. So definitely wouldn't miss that.
Mhm.
So those are some of the gaps that I feel in regards to my personal life when I'm not doing things as it relates to my business, the Office of Fire Prevention.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So tell me this: when
Mhm.
did you decide that you even wanted to become a firefighter? Like, what prompted it? What initiated that whole process?
Well, unlike most kids, I didn't grow up wanting to be a firefighter. I always had a tremendous respect or a level of respect for firefighters as well as policemen.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, what happened with me is that I was visiting North Carolina. So a good friend of mine introduced me to the opportunity to become a firefighter. So, of course, once they introduced me to that opportunity, having the respect that I've always had for firefighters and policemen, I was very excited. I was actually pumped because I'm thinking, oh wow, this is great. I can
Right.
become a part of a occupation that I truly respect and that I truly believe is doing a job to make a difference in people's lives.
Right.
There's nothing more gratifying than saving lives. So now
You
here I
sure?
am with the opportunity to save lives. Man, there's nothing better than that. So when I found out about that, I became engaged with the possibility and couldn't wait for the marriage. Unfortunately, God blessed me and I got the job.
Okay. And how long ago was that? When did you first
Woo!
become a firefighter?
In 1998, 25 years ago.
Okay. And was that in South Carolina or was that there in Chicago?
Actually, that was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
Yes, that's where I got my certification from. But even upon departing, I still continued to fight fires, if you will, in regards
Hmm.
to safety and its need. So I've always been involved in actually the Office of Fire Prevention became incorporated in 1998.
98. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know there's all kinds of different shows on TV nowadays, uh, um, I think Chicago 911 or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Um, so those shows are, I think, finally giving um, the general public a real life view. Well, this is my perspective, but you tell me, like, if you've ever watched any of those type of shows, is it really giving you a good perspective of some of the things that you guys are dealing with and thinking about and having to handle?
Well, with all due respect, I think the show is great and the public definitely needs it. But it's more of a commercial version of what's really going on a lot of times with
Mm-hmm.
fires. Um, One of the things you don't really see a lot of is relationship building with the fire department and the community. Uh,
Okay.
and for me, and this is one of the things that pretty much prompted me to even work harder to do what I'm doing in terms of
Mm-hmm.
promoting safety to all, but to start building relationships. Unfortunately, there's not many relationships between firefighters and community.
Okay.
And one of the things that I want to do, because I'm always been a believer of those who know better do better. So when you begin to start creating relationships with
Absolutely.
individuals, you're
Mm-hmm.
more likely to gain a level of respect for what it is that they do. Because when
Right.
you have that relationship, you guys are talking about your occupations, what's important, and especially when it comes to a relationship with either a firefighter or a police officer. You know, those individuals are going to let you know the things you need to do to remain safe and not to violate the law. So,
Absolutely.
but because the fire department wasn't really doing that, with all due respect, and in their defense, they can't be everywhere at one time. But statistics prove it's needed, it's necessary. We have to build
Mm-hmm.
these relationships so that we won't continue to die in fires, get injured in fires, and misunderstand what hazards are.
So when I was growing up, I remember having some specific fire safety exercises that we had to do,
Mhm.
even in elementary school. And so I would ask, in your 25 years, have you seen a decline in public education, or do you think it's been about the same or less?
Well, I have to say there's been a decline.
Okay.
And I would say it's been a decline because, first of all, due to technology. Because of technology, people have more ways to access information on everything.
Right.
So because that's an option through social media, things of that nature. So because that's an option, everything that these cities and counties do for the public, there's a cost that's being incurred to do that.
Right.
So it's less expensive if, because social media has so many mediums of information, it's easier for you just to go to YouTube or go to some other site and find out about fire safety information.
Right.
But the issue with that is that not everyone is doing it and not everyone is interested in that subject matter because of all the other things going on in their life. But still, statistics prove, excuse me, that there is a need for intervention, for safety intervention, which is why I remain motivated, which is why I remain committed and dedicated to push this. So the city has left it up on the citizens to take more stock in their own existence. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, we've developed habits to where we wait on the city, we wait on media to guide and navigate us on how we should do things and what we should do, as well as when we should do it. But we continue to suffer because we have that type of ideology on the
Right.
proper way to operate.
Right. Well, we have a microwave society now, so everything is spoon fed to us, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's so easily accessible. But that doesn't mean that people are going to access it just because it
Yeah.
is available to them. And so, tell us like the mission of the Office of Fire Prevention. Like, um, is your goal to start to increase that education and interaction and engagement, like you just talked about, having that engagement between the fire department and the community, or what exactly, uh, or why did you create OFP?
Well, let me answer the first question that you asked. The mission of the Office of Fire Prevention basically is to strengthen the nation's knowledge about fire, safety, and hazards. OFP is committed to protecting the people from risk, injury, and danger. And we plan to accomplish this by making safety a priority, as well as a practice for everyone, because it's all about, at the end of the day, saving lives.
Right.
So basically, my motivation in terms of why OFP even came to be is based on an experience that I had. Now, the motivation which inspired me for OFP is based on an event which I experienced as a firefighter while I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay.
Our engine company was called to a fire one late evening. Upon arrival to the home, this home was engulfed with flames. Now, I was the second man on the hose at the time doing the initial search and rescue, because what firefighters do when they land on the scene, we jump off the truck, make sure all the gauges are set properly. And when you're new, because I was new at the time to firefighting, they put me as the first man on the hose.
Okay.
So I'm first on the hose, so I got to go into the flames. Okay. Now, while on the hose, we did our search and rescue effort. Now, as we exit the truck, we positioned ourselves on the hose. Now, one thing I failed to mention, as we were going into the home, the neighbors were yelling, "There's a body inside, there's a body inside, someone's still inside the home." So they were yelling, because they let us know that there was a child in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So after receiving direction from the captain, after hearing that, we entered the home through the front door. We went through the entrance and safely made our way to the top of the level of the stairs. We looked in closets, we looked under beds. Our initial search efforts, they did not find any victims, but a second engine came on the scene. So this second engine located a body, but this body was on the second floor. I later learned that this was the body of a 10-year-old boy. The child was found unresponsive and burned extremely badly. I had never seen anything like this before. Now, over half of this child's body was burned, and his teeth, this is what really, really shook me. His teeth were melted from the intense heat of the flames.
Wow.
Now, in seeing this, my immediate reaction after witnessing this tragedy, it was devastating. But I immediately thought about the people that I loved. I thought to myself, man, the first opportunity I get after finishing up on this scene, I was going to make some serious calls to those people whom I love. I was going to call my daughter, and then next call my mother, and then call my best friends and tell them all how much I love them, and to make certain that they are ensuring themselves that their home is safe by having smoke detectors, or working smoke detectors, having fire extinguishers, and having carbon monoxide detectors in their home. Okay. That's extremely important. Now, I've talked to them before about this in safety when I became a firefighter, because that's all they preached to me when I first started. But I knew that anyway, just regular rule of thumb, Now, one thing about this home was so badly unsafe that they had couches in the kitchen. They had washing machines in the living room. So this home was just a fire death trap waiting to happen.
Right. So it sounds like.
It better believe it did. It was just waiting on the cheese. So it most definitely received it, because that's why exercising fire safety is so extremely important. But again, individuals have to be reminded of it. And this is one of the reasons why I was so motivated to find a way to do more other than just being a firefighter, other than just doing puppet shows, because that's what was popular at the time, just the puppet shows, and or going to the businesses, the commercial businesses, just doing the visual checks, making sure things were in place. Right. No, more needed to be done, because statistics, even at that time, had proved that we're missing something here. Something is missing. People aren't getting the message. So I wanted to be that change agent and promulgate the message to every citizen, not just in a domestic location, but nationally. So that has been my motivation 25 years ago, and today it remains to be. And one of the great things that has happened, we have progressed with our products and services to where now we can get this message out. But our people, with all due respect, have to do more in identifying those services that are necessary for them to continue to survive. Right. We'll get further into that as we discuss more about the Office of Fire Prevention.
Right. And so That's good. Tragic story that, you know, I guess for lack of a better term, um, at least initiated or encouraged something good to come out of it. So, that's always a positive. Um, we have Diane Alford and brother Jeff Cade
Okay.
saying hello.
Hello, Diane. What's up, Jeff?
So, um, another thing I remember as a child was the fire department coming to our school, bringing the engine, one or two of the engines, letting us tour the engine, climb up on it and all that stuff, and walk
Mm-hmm.
inside and just that. And I think that's when we used to learn the stop, drop, and roll exercise that we would do,
Mm-hmm.
um, or at least probably that same week, or maybe that same day. But um, that was the type of outreach that I recall, in elementary school. Once I got to middle school and high school, I can't remember any kind of fire safety information coming around except what we saw on TV with Smokey the Bear, But that was about it. So with all these different technologies now available to us and other strategies, how is the OFE planning to uh, get this message out to the masses?
Well, one of the ways I plan on doing this is by meeting people where they are. If their media is print, broadcasting, or internet,
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to you. And when I get there, we're going to talk about safety,
Right.
hazards, and awareness. We're going to talk. And I will communicate this information in a plain and specific language, not using any big words that they can't understand, because they need to hear every word that's coming out of my mouth and understand its importance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to make a clear case for change by emphasizing critical points about why this information is so important, especially for marginalized communities. And to point by point, I will provide statistics which substantiates this categorical disproportionality in terms of why one or two particular classes of individuals continue to be the victims in these fires, continue to be the ones most likely to be least likely to have insurance,
Mm-hmm.
continuing to be the ones to be most likely to be least likely to really exercise fire safety in their homes by purchasing all the tools of prevention.
Right.
We need to know this because unfortunately, a lot of us don't believe things can happen to us. But then when it happens, it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking about, oh, wow, if I would have just bought that surge protector versus buying that extension cord when there was a strong surge or currency going through this line, that surge protector would have cut it off
Mm-hmm.
and disallowed it to get out of control. But you didn't.
Right.
And why didn't you? Because other things were more important. So
Right.
I want to continue to communicate to this information to them in a way to where I meet them where they are, and sometimes I might even inconvenience them
Mm-hmm.
by reaching out or providing products and services that reminds them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my way of getting to individuals.
Okay. All right. Winnell Gray. She also joined us and she said, interesting and much needed topic.
Hello,
And then Jeff
Wendell.
also mentioned safety first and building relationships within the community. So, all right. So I'm gonna do a deep dive with you.
Okay.
You mentioned print media, but so, and this statistic is, a little hazy, but from what I've heard, there are 8 billion people on the earth. Around 2.5, 3 billion have cell phones, and it may even be more than that. So, uh, digital media is probably reaching more people than reading. I know magazine subscriptions, newspaper subscriptions, all those type of things have trailed off tremendously since the introduction of social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever. So more people are getting their news, at least the crux of their news, of real life information from their cell phones, um, and or from some YouTube video or something else.
Yeah.
So, what other methods aside from the print media? Because I would think that's personally uh, maybe reaching an older population, those people who still read,
Yeah.
which is a dying breed right there. But those people who still read papers, magazines, newspapers, advertisements, different things like that they see around, is smaller than the group of people who are reading their information digitally. So, how is OFP, or how do you propose that you all will start to, uh, like you said, using your own words, meet people where they are?
Well, you pretty much mentioned it. Basically, it's a matter of research. Excuse me. You just mentioned some information that's key. You discussed the fact that certain mediums of receiving information is declining.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know that, then it's OFP's responsibility to have that same information. So what do? You address priority first. Okay, well, if that media is declining, then what's our next step? Let's hit the masses first. But let's not forget our target market either.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our target market is the marginalized, the vulnerable,
Right.
the uninformed, the ignorant. But they're on social media too.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you can afford to miss any avenue of information.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that you cover each avenue. Now, the question is, how many dollars are you going to generalize or utilize in order to get that message across? How big do you want that message to be?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the question. I mean, in this capitalist nation, you have to utilize the systems that you know are working. So I think in terms of priority, you know that social media is hot. Uh, Facebook, YouTube. What's the other one? Forgive me, I don't remember them all.
Instagram.
Instagram. Thank you so very much, Dr. Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. So those are all the media that you have to make sure that you promote on. And for those who still do reading, okay, well, what are they reading? Because each state it may vary. What are they reading in Chicago?
Right.
Well, they're reading the Senior Times. All right, well, let's put an ad in the Senior Times and let them know, hey, we want to do some training in their building, like senior buildings. One of the things I do here in Chicago. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, and let me make sure I'm clear with this, so everyone knows, I am not in competition with the fire department. And I know no one said it, but I just want to make it clear. I
Right.
am a proponent of theirs, an advocate of theirs. We're on the
Mm-hmm.
same team. I just understand that the fire department cannot be everywhere at one time.
Right.
So because of that, that doesn't change the need. And the need is statistically, people are dying in fires.
Right.
Statistically, excuse me, people are getting injured because their homes are not safe. Statistically, people don't understand what hazards are. And statistically, people just don't have a clue of the first step to take, or they're just not motivated.
Right.
So those are the things that motivate and encourage me. So what I do here in Chicago, I'm making my business to visit the senior homes, talk to whomever the operations manager is, give them my card, let the operations manager know what it is that I do. Get their email, send them some information regarding my training in addition to whatever it is I may not share during that conversation, because not every time I visit, they have the time. So as
Right.
long as I got their email, I can always just send them a snippet of what it is that I do and let them decide on their time if it's something they want to do. But I definitely make sure I give them a call. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not leaving out any avenues or leaving any doors unopened. I'm busting through all of them, but I'm busting through with my soft shoes on. I ain't kicking holes in them. But I'm busting through only because I'm vibrant and I am energetic about this thing because I love safety and I want everybody to be safe.
Right.
So those are the ways that I do it. And again, my team isn't very huge. And that's another thing that the Office of Fire Prevention, and this is why I've been around for so long. It's hard sometimes to get people to change their ways when you become comfortable with a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, we have a fire department, man. We don't need what you're doing. It's a good idea, but let the fire department handle that. But that's not true.
Right.
It's not about the fact you got a fire department.
Mm-hmm.
Assess the ideas and see if they are worthy of your attention and your time.
Right. Are you still currently a firefighter? Are you retired at this point, or what?
Well, once a firefighter, always a firefighter. The
Okay.
training pretty much doesn't change. Uh, the things that change are the schematical things in terms of maybe how different structures are built, the materials that go into building this structure. So when it comes to fire, you need to know exactly what chemical, what element to put on it to diffuse it. So
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the things that change. But what doesn't change is the procedure to become a firefighter. It's the basic information regarding what starts fire: fuel, heat, oxygen, and a chemical reaction. That ain't changed.
Well, what I was asking, are you still actively
Oh,
on the? I don't know. Do you call it the force also, or the
no,
department? Are you
it's the fire
actively in the
department. I
department?
apologize for not hearing
Okay.
your full question. But no, I am not an active firefighter, but I am a certified firefighter.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. And what would you say, Derek, are some tips, some of the most important tips that you would want to share with us about fire prevention that's applicable to us right now in the home, in whatever city or community we're in?
Well, one of the biggest tips I would give everyone is to make sure that you purchase the tools of prevention. And those tools of prevention, as you'll see on my logo, are a fire extinguisher, which they have some traditional fire extinguishers, which are the bigger ones, the ABCD fire
Hmm.
extinguishers, and those alphabets are based on the chemicals in which fires they diffuse.
Okay.
Then you have a smoke detector, which is mandatory by law. You have to have that. Then you have a carbon monoxide detector, which is mandatory by law. And you have a surge protector, which I recommend versus an extension cord.
So when you say mandatory by law, you're saying like in new properties they have to include them,
Your
but
home has to have a smoke detector, and your home has to have a carbon monoxide detector.
oh,
Mandatory by
okay,
law. New homes or currently existing homes.
okay,
Yeah. So, and again, a surge protector. Those are mandatory. And you want to make sure that you know how these things work. Don't just
right,
purchase. One of the things I've learned about people when I'm giving fire safety training, they just buy them, but they have no clue how to work it. So you have a fire extinguisher in your home. There's a kitchen fire. One person threw the fire extinguisher at the fire. No, that's not how it works. You have to understand what the acronyms are to operate a fire extinguisher. And the
hmm,
acronyms to operate a fire extinguisher are PASS, the word PASS. You
okay,
pull the pin, you aim
hmm,
it at the base of the fire, you squeeze the trigger, and you sweep from left to right. This
okay.
helps to diffuse it. So don't just purchase these things, understand exactly what it is that they do. And a lot of times there are people who have a smoke detector, they'll hear it going off, but they'll think it's the battery.
Right.
They're in another room, there are maybe 5, 6 people in the home, they'll hear it going off, they think it's the battery, so they just stay where they are. No, that could very well be smoke. Very well
And
be
that's
smoke.
that's a funny thing. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
That's okay.
Um, and when I say funny, I mean ironic more so than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in houses where I constantly hear the fire detector beep,
Mm-hmm.
and I may ask that person who owns the house, um, are you going to change the battery or whatever? And they no longer hear it beep. I mean, it's become part of their environmental sound. So
Mm-hmm.
they've kind of put past the fact that that battery is dying. Um, you know, so it'll just chirp throughout the day, all day long, all night long, without them really addressing it.
I
And I
call that.
know you all have what, um, 2 days a year that y'all really specify that people change or check their
Well,
their.
most people do it during daylight saving time. When daylight saving time come in, that's definitely a reminder to always
Right.
change the batteries in your smoke detector. But again, because you have so many aftermarket shops out here that sell batteries that's not fully charged batteries or batteries that are remade, some of these
Right.
batteries don't last very long.
Right.
So I would have some type of system, some type of operational safety plan in my home to where we change the batteries maybe every 3 months. if that,
Right.
based on the
Okay.
battery. But always when you hear it chirping, especially if there's no smoke in the house. And in
Right.
addition to that, do test for your smoke detector, because a lot of times some of these smoke detectors been in our homes for generations. Auntie
Mm-hmm.
Baba Jean had this thing back in the 60s. So, okay, you inherited the home, but don't inherit all the problems that come along with the home.
Right.
Change that smoke detector. Rewire that home.
Right.
You can't just accept that home as it is. You have to put some money into it for safety purposes. But
Right.
unfortunately, you know, the tradition of not having to spend money unless you got to spend money is embedded in a lot of our psyches, and that's the way we do things. But that's a dangerous way of living and operating.
Right.
So,
That would probably make for a good show, at least temporarily. All these building, flipping, and all this other stuff.
yeah,
Have an episode on each one of those type of programs that talk about not just rebuilding the house for resale, but going in and, like you just said, changing wires. Maybe it can be called wiring for safety or something like that.
yeah.
But I think that's important because nowadays the fire um, detectors, they're hardwired in, and the battery is just what, a backup in case the electricity
That's
goes out.
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. But you
All right.
want to cover all bases with every system that is which you use. Always
Mm-hmm.
cover all bases and have extra batteries on hand in the home.
Right.
Buy enough because you know you're going to need some more. Because a lot of times it's
Mm-hmm.
the issue of just not feeling like going to the store getting new batteries.
That's true.
And that's when something always happens. Just
Mm-hmm.
when it was on your mind, but you failed to do it. What I like to do, Dr. Mo, I want to provide what I call the safe P's for safety.
Okay.
Can I share that with our audience?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. The safe P's for safety. And I'll speak and enunciate clearly so everyone can hear what I'm saying and won't think I'm saying the wrong word. Pit poor preparation promotes pit poor performance. Pit poor performance promotes pain. Prevention is the key to protection. Now, those are the 12 P's for safety when it comes to our home and when it comes to
Okay.
how we operate. We have to exercise those. Can I repeat those once more?
Absolutely.
In case. Pit poor preparation promotes pit poor performance. Pit poor performance promotes pain. And that first word is pit, P-I-T.
Mm-hmm.
And an example of being in a pit is being in a ditch. No
Right.
one wants to operate or start off from being in a ditch. And when you fail to do things correctly, when you wait too long to get something done, then you're operating from a ditch. And it's
Mm-hmm.
much harder to be successful when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to safety, it's extremely painful when it comes to fire safety.
Right.
And you fail to prepare in advance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so, in terms of technology and innovation, has there been any key advances in our society, or specific inventions, aside from those things that you just mentioned? The fire extinguisher, the smoke detector, the monoxide detector.
Mhm.
Any other advances that people can buy or that people can just have built into their homes, or whatever, to help with fire safety?
Well, there have been some advances, and basically what they've done is just reinvented the wheel. Those things still exist because technology has the ability to make things so sensitive that now, for example, with a smoke detector,
Mm-hmm.
you can be smoking outside and a little smoke can get into that smoke detector and it'll go off. So they've advanced these products in ways to where they're just more sensitive now.
Mm-hmm.
And they've advanced them in ways to where now you have a dispatching system. Like, for example, with a smoke detector, you can set it up to where this now automatically goes to the fire department.
Okay.
There's a signal that goes directly to the fire department. And once the fire department receives that signal, then they're on the scene coming en route to your home. So that's one way that is done. Um, of course, same way with the carbon monoxide detectors. A lot of times they're even louder when they go off. So this way it really gets your attention. So if there's something going on at night while you're sleeping, these things will really wake you up. And you can connect them to, let's say ADT has a system or has a dispatching service that has fireproofed your home, so to speak. So now all these devices go right to a company like an ADT or something like that.
Right.
So that's another form of technology. But they continue to come out with things. They also have a drone. This drone has water in it. So let's say that you're in a high-rise apartment or high-rise building, and you have a fire on the 15th floor.
Mm-hmm.
This drone can shoot water in that fire on that 15th floor to help put that fire out.
That's something that the fire department uses?
Something that the fire department uses. But one of the things you have to keep in mind with a lot of these inventions is that they're very costly.
Right.
They're very costly. And you're spending millions of dollars. And when someone has to decide, when they're looking at their budget, especially a mayor or a governor in a state, can we afford this? How bad do we need it? Okay, what's the statistic for Chicago in terms of home fire deaths for the year of 2020? Oh, okay, well, based on these statistics, I don't think we need to purchase this.
Right, gotcha.
So it's all about dollars and cents. And then a lot of these inventions, or this technology, if you will, is designed to save the lives of firefighters and not the individuals whose homes and businesses are on fire.
Okay.
And that's where the Office of Prevention comes in at. Because it's not costly at all what I do in terms of training, in terms of the products and services that I have and the programs that I have. Not costly at all. A t-shirt will cost you $25. A safety is what I call them. I took the word safety. In t-shirts, I made a safe tee. And basically what a safety is that now, Dr. Mo, you are walking around with advertisement for safety on your back. Remember earlier I talked about how to operate a fire extinguisher?
Right.
Now, you're in the grocery store getting your favorite meal. So you're in line waiting to check out. Guess what the person behind you is doing?
They're reading your shirt.
Reading your t-shirt and becoming educated. So now you are walking education, walking knowledge. And that's what a safety does. Never done before.
Right.
So, and then even with the services that I provide, I work with elderly senior homes. I work with employers. I work with park districts, and I give fire safety trainings. Not expensive at all.
Okay.
So there are things that people can learn that isn't very expensive about fire, safety, and hazards. That's necessary. It's just a matter of getting people to make this a daily part of their routine.
Right, exactly.
And that's what the Office of Fire Prevention does. And much, much more. I hadn't mentioned all my products and services to you.
Okay. All right. And we'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit more. Okay. So with summer, of course, comes lots of different occasions for people to cook out and just have gatherings of large amounts of people and have extra chairs in their houses, all over the place. So what are some special dangers that we should be more aware of, more mindful of during this summer season?
Okay, well, I will tell you what some of those dangers are, which they're extremely important. And unfortunately, a lot of us have to break some of these bad barbecuing habits that we have. But let me share with you some safety tips for barbecuing. One of the things you want to do when you have a grill, a lot of times people are so excited about this barbecue and getting this fire started so that they can get on this grill and eat. But it's not about just being ready to eat right away. There are rules that you must follow. One of the rules is distance when it comes to that grill. That grill should not be directly, let's say you're cooking out on a deck. That grill should not be directly on the railing of that deck. You should be at least 10 feet away from that railing.
Okay.
Now, that's extremely important because I know even with my deck, sometimes we had those big grills that fold over. But even the top of those grills get hot, and you do not want to allow that to hit the railing of the deck because that's extremely just as dangerous. So, and even before we start barbecuing, make sure that your grill is clean. Make sure it's thoroughly clean. A lot of times we barbecue 2 weeks prior. So, hey man, let's cook out. All right, I got the food. Come on through. You put the food right back on the grill. No, you want to thoroughly clean that grill or put some aluminum foil over that grill. But I would clean it even if I'm putting aluminum foil over it.
Okay.
Now, most
One
grills like
quick question about the grill, like being on a deck. So most decks aren't, very large. It might be 20 feet by 20 feet, perhaps. Um, and so if they had the grill and you said at least 10 feet away from the
railing,
it might be right up on the house. And I wouldn't imagine that could be good either.
No, you don't want it close to any structure. You don't want it close to any shrubs. You don't want it close to a garage. You don't want it within 10 feet of anything that the convection of that heat, the radiation of that heat, can heat something strong enough to where it begins to blaze or begins to burn. You don't want to do that. If you can feel the radiation of that heat, tell you what you do. You walk away from it and then say to yourself, okay, well, at this point, I can no longer feel it. Use that same judgment when it comes to the structures around you. Now, standard feeding for distance is 10 feet. But again, you want to use common sense. The objective is you don't want it 10 feet within any structure, anything.
Okay.
So you may have to put it right in the center of your deck. If, again, it's 10 feet between your deck, the center of your deck and your home or your railing.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that goes for a charcoal grill or a gas grill.
Okay.
You want to place your grill also on a flat surface, away from buildings, trees, or shrubs. Always make sure the surface is flat. Don't put your grill on anything slanted. I know that the construction of a lot of our backyards or our homes are made differently for creative purposes, but you don't want to put your grill on anything slanted. And the reason for that is because, of course, you got those coals. Those coals will slide, and those things get hot. You don't want to burn them.
Right.
You want to preheat your equipment. Make sure that all food is thawed out. A lot of times people put frozen food on the grill. You don't want to do that. Make sure that food is thawed out well in advance. Don't put frozen food on there because it may not cook correctly. And of course, it takes longer. Also, make sure your hands are clean when you begin to grill because, of course, you'll be touching the meat and we don't want to contaminate anything based on what you touched in advance or prior to starting the grill. Always make sure your hands are clean. Keep chilled food cold. Avoid cross-contamination. That's extremely important. You don't want to create any E. coli in any way. Make sure you avoid cross-contamination. Ensure that the food is cooked all the way through. Check your food thoroughly before taking it off that grill, putting it into the pan. Make sure it's cooked all the way through. And if all those things are done correctly, man, you can then serve your food immediately. But one thing that you should never, ever, ever do, and that is leave that grill unattended. Never do that.
Okay.
Extremely dangerous. And another caveat I would add, make sure that you don't have children manning these grills. There is a technique to grilling, and not just anyone can do it, despite how easy it may look from a distance. But there's a process for being a good griller. And you want to make sure that people are experienced. Because again, when you're grilling, your home could catch on fire if you're not sure what you're doing. And someone can get extremely sick if you're not sure how to properly handle this meat and make sure that that meat is thawed out properly.
Right.
So never leave that unattended. Now, in regards to summer safety heat stress, heat-related deaths and illnesses are preventable, but annually, many people succumb to heat, which right now in Chicago has been very hot the last 2 weeks. So we've all been trying to run for some cool shade.
Okay.
Now, signs and symptoms of heat stress: elevated body temperature, muscle cramps or clammy skin, headaches and nausea, dizziness and or fainting. Now, reduce your risk of heat stress by increasing your fluid intake.
Right.
Avoid caffeine drinks. Don't drink any caffeine if you can during hot days. Wear
Mhm.
loose and breathable clothes. And take short breaks in the shade or in cool areas when it's very
Right.
hot.
Those are good. Those are good. You were very thorough. So not only we just got our fire certification, fire safety certification, but you also gave us the food safety certification. So I can go out and get me a food certification job now. All the information you just shared with us.
Yeah, you can.
Hmm.
And I'll send you a certificate because I have some extra ones over here, Dr. Paul.
All right, and so in terms of outdoor safety, aside from just the um, barbecuing and cooking out. So I remember Smokey the Bear commercials. I mentioned that earlier when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I read that campaign is the longest running advertisement in American history.
Yeah.
So it's been running since 1944, and unfortunately, and this is not statistically based, so let me add that disclaimer. But the quantity and the severity of forest fires has increased dramatically since those commercials first aired in 1944. And
Mm-hmm.
this is just from my general and very basic research. I've seen that there have been more forest fires and much more severe forest fires since then. So it's almost like the cancer campaign. Um, every year we pour more and more money into cancer prevention and cancer treatment, but it seems like more and more people are getting different types of cancers. So the number of dollars is still dwarfed in relation to the number of people getting it. So it's really not helping so much. And I know that was a big fight for Jeff, um, watching his parents, have to go through that whole thing. But anyway, I'm deviating a little bit. But my point is, there's been all this advertisement, and I've even recently, like within the last week or two, have seen Smokey the Bear commercials. Now they're talking about um, it's some kind of device or something that is almost like a Siri or Echo or something. You can ask this Smokey the Bear device, is cooking your food at 160 degrees on a grill, okay, and it gives you information dealing with fire safety.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen those, but I saw that, like I said, as late as like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. So, what permanent message does the OFP want to embed in the minds of our citizens? And can this message really make a difference?
Well, what I'd like to embed in the mind of our citizens and our viewers, if you are serious about your home being fire safe and prevention is your objective, then I encourage you to invest in the tools of detection for your family's protection. And the reason for that is because it's extremely important that you are doing your job to be safe because safety is everyone's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's responsibility. So, what I want to do is change the face of safety. And what I'm doing now, I have something what's called safety advocates. And I encourage each and every one of you to go to my Safe book page. I didn't say Facebook, I said Safe book, SAFE book.
Okay.
And I want you to go to my Safe book page, befriend me, and let me
And
know.
how do they reach you so I can put that on the screen?
I'm going to give them that. Let me tell you
Okay.
exactly
Okay.
what that is. And I sent that to you. I was hoping that you would be able to pull that up, but I would definitely give them that information.
Okay.
So it's HTTP or go to
Mm-hmm.
www.officeoffireprevention.com. www.officeoffireprevention.com. So I encourage each and every one of you to go to my Facebook page, befriend me, and let me know that you'd like to become a safety advocate. Um, Now, let me tell you what you have to do to become a safety advocate. It's not difficult at all. It's not difficult at all. In order to become a safety advocate, first of all, let me explain to you what a safety advocate is. I apologize. A safety advocate is anyone who promotes any policy, any program, any idea that is targeted and dedicated to educating the public on how to be safe, how to save lives, how to prevent injuries, and how to prevent having hazards in your home.
Okay.
That's what a safety advocate is. Anyone, basically, in short, who believes in safety and promotes safety. Because
Right.
everything we do, there is a safety component associated with it.
Okay.
So now, this is how you become a safety advocate for fire safety. I want each and every individual to visit their local fire department, befriend a fireman by shaking their hand and talking with them about your home safety plan. Let me repeat that, and I'll tell you more. I'll elaborate on that. I want everyone who's interested in safety and wants to save lives, especially their own, to go to my Safe Book page, www.officeoffireprevention.com, befriend me, and let me know that you'd like to become a safety advocate. And again, this is how you become a safety advocate. Visit your local or your municipal fire department, befriend a fireman. That's a part of my program as well, the Befriend a Fireman program. Befriend a fireman, and you befriend a fireman by shaking their hand and discussing with them your home safety plan. It's just that simple. And I would like for you to take a picture of you shaking that fireman's hand and send it to SafeBook, because on this page is everything about safety, anything about safety, even Good Samaritan safety. Because what I want to do is change the face of safety. For too
Right.
long, there's been a face of violence, and it's been a black face. And that's unfortunate. But I want to put a face on safety. This is not about black and white. It's not at
Mhm.
all. But when you think about the opposite of safety, you think about violence. And unfortunately,
Right.
you think about us. At least I know I do. I'll speak for myself with all due respect to everyone else. So, but what I want to do is put a new face on safety. And I want to be individuals' faces who are safety advocates,
Right.
because we want the world to be a safer place. And we have to start with ourselves. And another thing, most people who I've met, and I've met a lot of people, don't know the name of a firefighter in their community. Don't have a clue. Most firefighters I know don't know the name of a resident in their community, in the municipality that they service. That shouldn't ever be the case.
Right.
That should not be the case. So this Befriend a Fireman program, you becoming a safety advocate, is a way to change that. And I want to take this to another level, to where we're recognized, to where they see that we're trying to do something to change safety and how we perceive it.
Right.
And it's going to start from a grassroots approach. My Facebook page is being built from the bottom, with all due respect, from the bottom, in the sense of I didn't put no lot of fancy things on there. No, things will go on this page as they happen. So this is the beginning of these things happening by me incorporating you to get involved with safety,
Right.
to become a safety advocate. And I have the safeties for you also. But I would encourage you to continue to go to my page as I continue to provide information on how you can get your safeties. And I also want to post those pictures of you being a safety advocate. And I'm going to go public with it. I'm going straight to the Channel 7 News and let them know what it is that we're doing. And again, this is not a competition.
Right.
This is us, and this is about saving lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I definitely applaud your efforts, the efforts of the Office of Fire Prevention. Um, so, is this the best way for people to contact you? Officeoffireprevention.com.
This is the best way to contact me
Okay.
at this time. Again, this is grassroots and a lot of things I am working on right now. We're working on a commercial for a product line that I have, a safety product line. Didn't mention it today because I don't want to talk about that yet. I'm going to go to SafeBook with that commercial when it's done. But you can reach me through this medium, and I will definitely respond. Or
Okay.
you can call me. I'll give you a phone number you can reach me at.
All right.
Contact number
Mm-hmm.
773-580-6669. Again, 773-580-6669. And that's a personal phone.
Okay. Awesome.
And I'll
And
speak with anyone.
hold on. So I know that OFP is a nonprofit.
Mhm.
Um, so how can people help support your mission um, to be able to reach more people? And you mentioned purchasing a safe tea. What else can people do?
Well, what they can do to help me support my mission is continue to exercise safety. Um, Continue to make sure their home is safe. Continue to make sure that when they see things that are a hazard, react to it. I mean, especially if it's not something biochemical. I don't want you moving any things with the crossbones on it and the skull. No, don't
Right.
go touching things like that.
Right.
But
Exactly.
things in your community, things in your home, and exercise safety in all that you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you can continue to support me. I'll continue to do things to get your attention as I continue to progress. A lot of times, let me mention something, Dr. Mo. People ask me, okay, well, Derrick, how are you making money? What are you doing to make money? Well, one of the things I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to get grants now. I don't just, it's great to be able to make money off my product, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm doing is something that our communities need. So as I continue to work on a safety grant to get a budget so that I can start mass producing things, because currently all this is coming out of my pocket.
Okay.
It's all coming out of my pocket. I don't have any donors or any of that. But I'm working on more fundraising things of that nature. I'm going to do a fundraiser for the Befriend the Fireman. I'm working on that because
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't want to befriend the fireman?
Right.
Sometimes you see the firemen out there with their boots trying to collect money, but this is a more of an expedited way to do that. I want to be able to help make a contribution to their cause too, but I
Right.
want to make a contribution to mine. So what I'm doing, I'm working on grants, public grants, so I can receive additional money for what it is that I'm doing. But of course, I have to continue to prove that there's a need for it.
Right.
But statistics alone prove that. But of course, there's still a process that you must go through in order to get that done. So I continue to work on that as well. So yeah, making the money is important. I need to survive because that's just how we operate in this capitalist nation. We need to survive. But right now, that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is getting the message out, working on getting the grant, and providing options to those who follow me on Facebook and keeping them informed of what it is that I'm doing. There'll be total
Awesome.
transparency in my operations.
Okay. And our final question is going to be, unless somebody in the audience has a question, you can post it now. Um, so about 300 years ago or 300 plus years ago, Benjamin Franklin, he coined the phrase, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So what
Yes.
would you say is the mindset that we need to have in order to make the best of what you just shared with us?
Make safety a priority in your life, exercise it, and pass it on to everybody you come in contact with.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So there we have it. We have Brother Derrick Whitefield,
Whitehead.
certified firefighter. Huh? Whitehead.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Derrick Whitehead, certified firefighter, the CEO of the Office of Fire Prevention Incorporated. And you can reach him at 773-580-6669 or go here to the office of fireprevention.com, www.officeoffireprevention.com. There is no the in there, right?
No, Office of
Okay,
Fireprevention.com.
gotcha.
No
And,
E.
you know, come on, everybody, uh, tell somebody else. This is how we're going to get this information out here. You can start being an advocate right now. You don't have to wait until you hit the fire department tomorrow or this week, but you can be one right now by telling somebody else. You can actually be one. They say the first ministry is in your own home. So go ahead and walk around your house. Take a look at your smoke detectors, your carbon monoxide protectors. Do you have a fire extinguisher? Do you know how to use it? Somebody said earlier, thanks for the information, the past, because now they know how to use their fire extinguisher. So that's very important. Don't just have it sitting there as a kitchen icon, or something just to be around, but you don't know how to use it. These are some things you can do right now. In the next few minutes, you can do these things, and then you can make a phone call. You can do like Derrick did many years ago. Call the people you love. Let them know you love them, and then start to show them. They'll probably be like, "Hey, why'd you call me, Morris? Just out of the blue to tell me that? I know you love me." Well, I was just on this Zoom, and I found out about fire safety. I wanted to just spark up a conversation real quick. There's so many different ways to get this out there that you don't even really need to be innovative, but just let people know. Open your mouth. So we want to thank our brother Whitehead for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully, we can have you a little bit later as you have, as you grow the organization, as you have some more things that you want to share, or just as a reminder, because like you said, this information is pertinent, and we need to keep on talking about it. It's not just a one-time conversation. So with that, I want to give you an opportunity. You have any closing remarks or anything?
I do. I want everyone, or just remind everyone, that the 4th of July is approaching. And as you know, in most of our communities, they pop fireworks, and there are all different types of fireworks nowadays. Some that go boom, some that shake the whole community. But please be extremely careful, especially if you have kids that will be partaking in fireworks and popping them. Be extremely safe, because now one of the things they're doing, they are putting gasoline at the end of some of those fire rockets as they go up and then come down. And that gasoline, unfortunately, is falling on individuals' properties. And when it does that, it's destroying those properties. So you want to make sure that you promote safety, especially with your own children. A lot of times we don't know what our kids are doing when they are outside of our immediate supervision, but at least pass this knowledge on to them so that they will not be doing that.
Right.
So, and I wish everyone a wonderful 4th of July, but please exercise safety.
Absolutely. All right. So with that, brother, I appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure.
The information was excellent, right on time. Actually, today's the 22nd, so summer just started yesterday officially, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So, this is the time that you need to know that, folks. Again, take this information and don't just sit on it. So with that, I won't say our next episode, but we do have an episode coming up where we're going to be talking to the victims of domestic violence. So if you have been a victim of domestic violence or survivor of domestic violence, we would like to hear from you. See if you're interested in coming onto the show. So you can just go to my website. Well, let me just give you my email address. It's Dr. Mo at mindovermatteru.net. So type that in real quick. Dr. Mo at mindovermatteru.net. So if you want to be in our next show, upcoming show, I don't want to call it next, upcoming show about domestic violence, and be a man or female, we know it happens to men as well. Contact us. Send me an email. Give me a brief synopsis of what went down, maybe how you overcame it, if you're still overcoming it, some resources that you have that you like to share with people, and we're going to have that conversation. So we're going to have about 3 or 4 people on that show, getting different perspectives. So I welcome you all to join us again, and just like this show tonight. We want you to comment. We also want you to share it and to subscribe. So you can do that right on the bottom here. It says subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so that you can get notifications. And then you can hit the button that says all notifications, so you'll always know when we come on. All right, with that, again, we want to give Brother Derrick a round of applause. and thank him for coming on. Appreciate you, brother.
My pleasure, brother.
You
Thank
have
you very much.
a wonderful evening and a very safe summer.
You do the same, Dr. Mo.
All right. All
And
right.
thank
And
you
we'll
again.
talk to you soon. All right.
Talk to you
Peace.
soon.
Peace.
Peace. Rudolph.